how does the suspension of U.S. aid affect global perceptions of American leadership?
Um, the issue with what's going on now is that Trump ran on an agenda of fighting waste, fraud, and abuse. And there is an impression that American money, taxpayer money, is being spent in unwise ways. And with the agencies that has been wasting taxpayer money is USAID. Now, this is temporary, but it's a shock and awe kind of style of dealing with the issue, and it is causing disruption.
Sir, Mr. Ihsan, I'm very sorry to interrupt you in this context, but are you convinced that the U.S. aid was wasting money from your own narrative, sir?
Yes, let me give you an example of ways that the money was
So you're
spent.
pro what Trump did?
The idea that in the Republican circles, conservative circles, that this agency wastes American money and spends money in ways that American people do not want to spend. That's not the goal of aid development. People think, oh, it's going to health, medicine, food. But look at some of these programs that they're criticizing. Money spent on electric vehicles in Vietnam, transgender clinic in India. A Serbian LGBTQ group got $1.5 million. Money for advancing DEI in Serbia. So all these, this is not aiding. This is medicine. This is not medicine. This is not food. And Rubio, the Secretary of State Rubio, gave a waiver. Actually, said you can apply for a waiver for cases where. And I want to be accurate with you. So here it said any life-saving humanitarian assistance, core life-saving medicine, medical services, food, shelter, subsistence, they can file for a waiver from the 90-day freeze. So the issue is the values. You see, the Trump won, and Trump has an agenda. He's implementing it. Now, the way they're doing it is really hard and causing chaos. But the question is, the U.S. doesn't want to stop aiding the world. The issue is not just not giving anything, not letting just China do whatever it wants and have the field for itself. But the issue is what kind of programs and what kind of role does the Secretary of State have? Because the law says that the Secretary of State supervises USAID. But the politicians are saying that this agency has not been responsive to the political demands of that the spending should be aligned with American national interests. Every American, probably, if you ask them, they say, oh, yeah, let's fight famine and disease. But should American taxpayer money be spent on DEI initiatives in Serbia or on transgender issues? So that's the divisive issues. It's a culture war in the U.S. and it's transferring to how money is spent overseas.
Well, Professor Einar, what opportunities does this create for China to expand its Belt and Road Initiative, which we, of course, to our knowledge, all know that's one of the most important initiatives on the scene as we witness what's going on nowadays, sir?
Well, I think you have to kind of parse out the narrative here on a couple of points. First off, the Belt and Road Initiative has nothing to do with USAID. It's not competing for any kind of gender studies or neutrality or any of those issues. It simply builds infrastructure, and that infrastructure has helped countries around the world expand their economic base, and you can see that quite clearly by their GDP growth over these last few years. So yes, the U.S. always likes to say that there's somehow China is seizing hold of these countries. Well, if that's the case, what is the U.S. doing about it? And USAID, as I said, had nothing to do with it. Now, in terms of the organization USAID and how it spends its money, that is up to Congress. It is not up to the executive. So this suspension will be litigated. It's probably that it will go on the side of Congress, and then Congress can make a decision. Remember, it's a majority of Republicans in both House and Senate should be determining how that money is spent. You just
Professor
can't have
Einar,
one person.
What I understood here is that the Belt and Road Initiative is not related to the shutdown of the USAID from your own narrative, sir?
Well, of course it's not. I mean, USAID, as my fellow pointed out, is a political issue within the United States. It's a battle between the executive and the legislative, and that will be settled there. But it has nothing to do with the BRI. China has primary trade relations with 140 countries. That has nothing to do with USAID, except to the extent that USAID was acting as a front for clandestine activities, whether it was regime change or just disinformation. That has been shown. That is a domestic issue within the United States, and that's where it has to be done. This trying to draw parallels that somehow USAID and the Belt and Road Initiative are in competition is nonsense. USAID doesn't build bridges. They don't build ports. They don't build railways. They give out medicines and, in some cases, provide actionable intelligence.
Financial aid, and they sponsor universities, and they do a lot, supposedly all around the world.
No, the Belt and Road Initiative does not Spanish. Do you? Well, why don't you tell me which universities that they're sponsoring through the Belt and Road Initiative? Belt and Road Initiative is about infrastructure.
No, sir, I was pointing out to the USAID. I was not pointing out to the Belt and Road Initiative. So are you pro or against the shutting down of the USAID, sir?
Well, I'm against it where you have situations where they're providing vital aid. We talked about, you had a report about what was going on in trying to have mine clearing in Cambodia and Laos, areas where the U.S. left bombs behind. And I think they have a moral and legal duty to do something about that, where you have AIDS programs in Africa, which are going to put people at risk.